Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Jay Spit Down. Of course, I'm your host Jaden here today with Nick Winkler here, and we are excited to preview the NFL playoffs, which are finally here after a 2022 season that has went by so fast, and we're already in wild card weekend. It's crazy, Nick. So yeah, thanks for coming on, man, to talk some ball with us, and let's get down to it.
Yeah, my pleasure, Jay. Yeah, wild card weekend's the best, isn't it? You get those two games on Saturday, three on Sunday, and now they've added a Monday playoff game. I love it. I love it.
I do too, man. It's great. So before we get deep into it, I'm gonna go over the schedule with you guys so you're aware of the games we have. So first for the NFC, we got the Seahawks and Knicks 49ers on January 14th on Fox. Then we have the Giants and the Vikings on the 15th. That will also be showcased on Fox. And then our Monday night, as Nick mentioned, our Monday night kickoff will be the Bucks and the Cowboys, 8:15 prime time on ABC and ESPN. That's going to be a good one there. And then for the AFC, we got the Jags, the Chargers, the Buffalo Bills, and Miami Dolphins, who will be without Tua. We'll get to that later. And the Ravens and the Cincinnati Bengals. So, Nick, this is exciting, man. I'm ready. I can't wait.
Yeah, for sure, man. I love that the Niners are the first game, too, because it's like I don't have to worry all weekend long. Like, it's just this, let's go right out of the gate. Show up, guys. Get ready to go. Don't get distracted by anything else that's happening. Go handle your business and then enjoy. They can go and enjoy the rest of the weekend, too.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the benefits of having the first game of the playoffs. And so, yeah, that's going to be a good one. So, speaking of that wild card matchup with the Seahawks and 49ers, what are things looking like going to this game, for San Francisco? And what do you believe must be done to get this win and move on to the next round?
Yeah, I mean, the Niners are very healthy right now. They got Kinlaw back. They got Eric Armstead on that defense. Obviously, Nick Bosa is going to be Defensive Player of the Year. Fred Warner. Drake Greenlaw is still a big question mark. That scares me a little bit because when he's been in there, he's been one of the best middle linebackers in football. Secondary's healthy. Offense, they got Debo back. Ayuk's clicking with Purdy. You got Christian McCaffrey, who's looking like one of the best running backs in football yet again. So that's fun to see. Elijah Mitchell came back last week. He was running hard. So They're healthy. They're ready to go. Like let's set this thing up. You don't want to play a division rival in the playoffs if you can help it. Because they know all your strengths, all your weaknesses, and everything. But that being said, we beat Seattle twice this year, so go out and finish it up, wrap up the sweep. But I mentioned all these good things, but let's not forget what happened last year, right? The Niners beat the Rams twice during the regular season, and then in the championship game, they fell to the Rams. But that was in LA. This is at home, Santa Clara. The Seattle's not what they were when the season started. When everybody's like, "Wow, this Seahawks team's actually really good." Like I think the NFL kind of figured out what they were doing with Geno Smith and the defenses. They've been hurt as well. So this is if I could pick one team for the 49ers to play, when it was Green Bay, when it was Seattle, when it was Detroit, it was all those teams. I was like, or Washington, even at one point, I was like, I want to play Seattle. Just because, I like that. I want to go out and I want to beat Pete Carroll in the postseason in our house and just really kind of stick it to the Seahawks. As a Niner fan, that's kind of one of the things you always want to do.
Yeah, most definitely. And of course, the 49ers would love to do that as well, get that win over their division rivals, the Seahawks. Of course, I just say it's been fun watching the Seahawks and the 49ers over the years, man. The rivalry there is really fun. Of course, all those Bobby Wagner and Russell Wilson led teams and over the years. And then, of course, moving later, of course, into the Garoppolo era in San Fran. And so, yeah, man. And now, you add Christian McCaffrey to that offense. I mean, the 49ers had a really great season, man. We talk about all the time here on the show and what they've done, amidst losing their starting quarterback to injury, then their second string quarterback, Jimmy, to an injury as well, and then Brock Purdy. So let's just, real quick, man, I mean, the job that Brock Purdy has done coming in and filling in as a rookie, mind you, in the NFL, just talk about, how hard that can be, and then what he's done, just how big it's been for this team, stepping up and leading them.
Yeah, it obviously that's a tough thing to do, right? This is a rookie who's never played in the NFL, last pick in the draft, and he's on the practice squad to start the season, and then all of a sudden he's bumped up to number 2, and he had to beat out Nate Sudfeld in the preseason. The Niners gave him $2 million. They wanted Sudfeld to be their backup, and it didn't work out. Purdy said, no, That's my job. I want that. And it's been incredible. I'm on Locked On 49ers, and yesterday we did game balls. We did like who for the season, who gets balls. And so obviously, we just picked one guy at a time, and and Bosa was going and this and that. And when it was my turn to pick again, second round, I gave it to Purdy because they don't win 10 games in a row without Brock Purdy. Like it's not going to happen. And who right now is one of the most valuable players on the 49ers? It's Brock Purdy because who's behind him? Josh Johnson. You don't want Josh Johnson taking snaps. You got depth at running back. You got depth at wide receiver. You even have a little bit of depth at tight end, with Croft. And so, but at quarterback, you just don't. So Brock Purdy is super important going into this postseason. It's been incredible what he's done too. He should get votes, even though he only played, half the season. He should get votes for offensive rookie of the year. I mean, what he's done has just been incredible. No one's ever done anything like this. No rookie has ever come in like this at the end of a season, especially this late of a draft pick, and done this well. And he's shown that he belongs in the NFL.
Yeah, man. He's got that moxie to him, right? That swag.
Yeah, you love it.
And I love watching him play. Even his first action against the Dolphins, man, when he came in, the way he was just slinging it, and of course against Tampa Bay, I mean, he was fired up, man. I just you like dudes like that on your team, man. And the guys rally behind him. It seems like from what I get from the 49ers that they really rally behind him there, and they support him, and they believe in him. So.
Yeah, and that's just it. As your leader, you need that. You need that guy leading the huddle to believe that whatever they do is going to work, and he's got that. You see it. He's got that swag. He's confident. I like to, one of the early stories is like when he was training in practice going up to his first start, that there's some guys were fooling around in the huddle, and he was basically like, "Hey guys, shut the up!
Yeah.
Like this is my huddle. Like I talk in this huddle." And they're like, "Okay, all right, kid, I like this. Like let's go, let's follow this guy." And he's so young, which is why I call him a kid. But at the same time, like he's got that mental toughness. He was a 4-year starter. Like he did what he needed to do. He got his seasoning in college, and now he's getting his chance. And man, he's making the most of it.
Yeah, he is, man. Yeah, and he's a great leader, man. And just like you said, for his age, because most guys his age, I mean, you see some of the quarterbacks even that are older than him, they struggle in that leadership aspect range, but for Brock, man, and being his age, he's that, like you said, that mental toughness is there, and which is really exciting. So that's great, man. And so what do you think, should be the plan, for the 49ers going to this game against the Seahawks? They've kind of had they start off the year good, and then they kind of been slipping a little bit. Then they won some games, and now they're here. They made the playoffs. So what's going to be key to get this win specifically, offensively?
Yeah,
defensively?
It was the last word you said there. It was defensively, right? It's D'Amico Ryans. He's got that number one defense in the NFL, and he's going to have a game plan to shut these guys down. And I believe that it's going to work because it's worked almost all season long. Like there's been a couple of games that weren't great in there, where they were injured or they just got surprised by a Las Vegas squad. But I don't think that's going to happen this weekend. I think they know what the Seahawks can do. D'Amico Ryans has been fantastic. He's not going to be around next year. He's going to get a head coaching job somewhere. Teams are already asking to interview him, and of course he's going to succeed somewhere, and it's going to be fun to watch. But for now, he's still our defensive coordinator, and he's going to show up with a great game plan. And I think on offense, you just got to get the ball to Christian McCaffrey. He's shown you time and time again that you give it to him in the pass, you give it to him in the rush, you let him throw the ball. Like, it doesn't matter what you do with Christian McCaffrey. Get him the ball. Also, Deebo Samuel's back. You saw like little flashes of it last week. They don't want to risk anything. But I bet we see a big, heavy dose of Deebo here and Christian McCaffrey. Like, just those two guys. And if they take them away, Purdy's shown he's got an amazing chemistry with Kittle and with Ayuk. Like, both of those guys' numbers have spiked since Purdy's taken over. So I really like the 49ers' chances going into this weekend.
Yeah, I do too. Actually, I picked them to win this matchup here.
Smart.
I just don't think that, Seattle the discrepancy is too big here. Talent-wise. But Seahawks do have a good roster, as far as, a guy that's impressed me with them is Kenneth Walker, the rookie. I think he's a great back. He's
solid.
Back. Yes.
Yeah, he's tough runner, fast. Like, he's the kind of guy I'd love to have on my team. I hate that he's a Seahawk because I want to root for him, but I can't because he's a Seahawk.
Yeah, so, it's going to be a good game there. But now we have these other matchups here. You know, the Vikings, the Giants, and then of course the Bucks and the Cowboys. You know, out of those two, who do you think is going to win those matchups there? You know,
I think we're going to see two upsets. I think
really?
the Giants are going to. I think the Giants are going to go beat the Vikings. I don't buy the Vikings. They play really well, right, for 2 or 3 games, and then they just lay a stinker. And then they play 2 or 3 great games, and then they lay a stinker. You know, and I don't know. I think that's a game that could surprise a lot of people. I think that New York, Dable, he's got a plan. You know, he might win Coach of the Year. You know, obviously I vote for Kyle Shanahan, but you know he's got a lot more on his roster, you know, than Dable had when he took over there in New York. But I like what he's done with the Giants. He's turned them into actual, you know, a franchise you can talk about and actually can go out and win some football games. And the Vikings, I don't know. Kirk Cousins likes to choke, so Minnesota's obviously a better team on offense and on defense. But I think if you could take the points in the Giants, that's what I would do. I'm not a real betting man, but if I was going to, that's where I'd go. And I never bet against Tom Brady. I'm not a fool. So I think that he can go out at home and beat a Cowboys squad that, again, goes out and lays big stinkers, right? They have these games where it's like, do these guys even know how to play football? Like, you and I talked about Dak Prescott a few weeks ago. We talked about, like, is he, you know, the future of this franchise? Like, is he the man? And I was like, no, I don't think he is. And you saw it again last week. He threw for like 127 yards. Like, it just is not good. And I don't like what Dallas is doing right now. They have a good defense, but I don't know, man. I worry about both of those teams. If I was fans of the Vikings and the Cowboys, I would not be sitting here feeling confident going into this weekend.
I wouldn't either, man. You know, and you mentioned just the consistency. That's the big key, right? You know, yeah, we got those one good game or two, and then you turn around, and then it's like you said, stinker. You know, you lay an egg.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, you're getting blown out.
Right.
You know, like, and so it's like, at what point, you know, like, this is the playoffs. You can't do that. You know, and so, I'm concerned, man, for the Vikings and the Cowboys beginning, because the Cowboys, you know, this is something we've seen over the last couple of years now from them. When they get in the postseason, they just can't get the job done. The 49ers, your 49ers got them last year, you know, so.
Kick their butts.
Yes, they did. So, yeah.
You know what's crazy, too, is that Monday night game. That's going to break some records, I think, because you got the Cowboys, you know, who draw the best out of any team in the NFL when it comes to viewership. Then you got Tom Brady, who also draws pretty well. And so that, I bet you're going to see some astronomical numbers. It's a Monday night. It's the last playoff game of the weekend. That's going to be a huge one. That was really smart to put that on the Monday night by the NFL.
Yes, it was. Yeah, great move there by the league to put that game there. And that, you guys, again, can catch that on ESPN and ABC. So moving to the AFC side, of course, I'm interested for the Jags and the Chargers game. That's going to be pretty fun. Trevor Lawrence, Justin Herbert, both his first time in the playoffs, right? You know, Chargers should have made it last year, but, you know.
But their coach made some really bad decisions late in the year, yeah. No, I like what the Chargers are doing right now. I think they're getting healthy as well. I wouldn't be surprised if the Chargers went on a little bit of a run right now. I hope that Mike Williams' injury isn't too bad. I know he got a little banged up last week, but I think he's expected to play this weekend. And, you know, on this show, I talked about the Jaguars all season. Like, watch out for them. You know, they're a good team, this and that. And they are. I think that this was their run. I think they're going to run into a Chargers squad that's just a little bit better than them. Herbert, I think, is ready to take that next step. And especially if he's got all his weapons. I mean, you've seen what Austin Eckler's done all season. They're getting Joey Bosa back. Like, I think if I had to pick in that game, I'd go Chargers. But don't be surprised if the Jaguars, you know, cause a little bit of a stir.
Yes, we cannot be surprised because the Jags have done that all year. Especially, you know, they start off 3. It was crazy, man. They start off 3-7, and then from then on, they just kept playing good football. They played good football. Trevor Lawrence improved throughout the season. You know, he's emerged. And we talk about Doug Peterson being that quarterback kind of guy, that quarterback coach. He's known to elevate his quarterback's level of play, and we saw that with Trevor Lawrence. So I got to give credit to him in the stride he's made throughout the season. So
definitely, it's been good to watch. ETN too. I think they're figuring out better ways to get him involved. They're getting Agnew more involved on offense too. He's an explosive weapon. I like Trevor Lawrence. I think he might be ready as well. You saw him miss that touchdown pass though, right? On Saturday night, it's like, oh, you can't miss that. Like those are the things he needs to overcome if he wants to be, you know, considered a top 15, top 12 quarterback in the NFL. And the best place to showcase, you know, overcoming stuff like that is in the postseason. So we'll get a good look at him this weekend.
Yeah, we will. We will. That's the big thing. Is can he just show that he make those plays, right? Those big plays, make those plays,
Yeah.
make the throws when they're there, and just and be the quarterback they drafted with the number one pick. So now, what's interesting to me here is the Bills and the Dolphins game. Tua has already been ruled out, unfortunately. He had to suffer his second concussion of the year. You hate to hear it. We talked about this before on the podcast, man. And it's just been a rough year for Tua Tagovailoa. So it's looking like Skylar Thompson will begin to start, from what I'm hearing for Miami. That doesn't look good.
No, I see a blowout in this one. The Bills are, they're just a great football team. They've been a great football team all year. The Magic last weekend, with the kickoff return on the opening play. And, they are going to come out and they're going to look fantastic. Josh Allen, to me, has been the MVP of the season. Like, he's just, without him, imagine where this Bills squad would be, right? You see it up with quarterbacks, right? You see it with Miami, with Tua out. Like, they just don't score any points. They don't look good. I root for Mike McDaniel, and I root for the Dolphins, but for me, it's like I don't see how they can win this game this weekend unless Josh Allen has like 5 interceptions. That to me would be the only way. I think he could even get away with 3 interceptions. Like, I really think that this Bills squad is just that much better than the Dolphins are right now. It hasn't been that case all season. Miami's been a great football team, but they're not that without Tua. I don't think they have much of a chance in this game.
I don't either, man. I really don't. It's.
I hope I'm wrong. Like I said, I root for Mike McDaniel. I hope I'm wrong, but
of course, yeah. And Mike McDaniel, again, he's done. I've been really impressed with the job he's done his first year in Miami. I've always been a fan of his, and and I love it. He's got that. We're gonna talk about that. He's got that that personality, man. You just want in your coach, like you want to go play for him. He's that type of coach. So and I think he's done a great job in his first year. And now what's crazy is I've already heard people talking about on Twitter or whatever, like, Mike McDaniel needs to go, man. I'm like,
that's ridiculous. Anybody who says that doesn't understand football, because here's what's going to happen in the offseason. Tua, unfortunately, might have to rethink his career choices because, he's getting hurt, and all these concussions. That's got some long-term ramifications. Don't be surprised Jimmy Garoppolo ends up in Miami and starts running that Dolphin offense next year.
Could be. Yeah, that would be interesting. But I just
he knows the offense.
Yes, he does. He knows it.
He's a good quarterback.
So
you give him a guy like Tyreek Hill, watch out.
Ooh, man. And Waddle, dude.
Yeah, Waddle's a stud too.
Yeah, so but like I said, I saw that. I'm like, dude, come on, man. Like,
that's just ridiculous.
First year.
It's not like he went out and went, 2-15. Like, he had a good year, and his quarterback kept getting hurt. Look at the numbers when he had his starting quarterback. Look at any team in the NFL, except for the 49ers, without their starting quarterback. It's not good.
Yeah, it's not. So, like I said, you can't pin that on Mike. But, moving on. So, then our final matchup with the AFC will be the Ravens and the Bengals. I'm not sure if Lamar Jackson is going to be playing in this game or not. I haven't really received any updates on that or not, so I'm not sure. Obviously, if he isn't, same thing like the Dolphins. I just don't see the Ravens getting a win here.
If Lamar Jackson's in there, even if he's kind of going at like 80 or 90%, I give the Ravens a chance.
Yeah.
Not a big chance, though, because I really like the Bengals. I think we might see the Bengals. I'm expecting the Bengals to make a run. Like, I think that they look good here in the end of the season, most of the season. I mean, I know they had a few bumps there early on, but, I mean, Joe Burrow is the man. Like, you want a stud quarterback. That's the guy. You talk about having weapons on offense. Like, he's stacked at every level. Like, this is a really good Bengals team. I think that it might be a bit of a blowout as well here in this one. I see a lot more competitive games in the NFC this weekend than I do in the AFC. I think most of these AFC games might be one-sided, this one included, because the Bengals are rolling.
Yeah, they are. I mean, Chase, Boyd, and Higgins.
Yeah.
Burrow, I mean, and Joe Mixon out the backfield. He's still pushing it, man. He's a great back too, and the defense is like we say, they're not super exciting, but they make plays when they need to, and so those are the type of guys, the type of players you need on defense, So, yeah, man.
But here's what's fun, Jay. Here's what's fun. we sit here and we talk about this, and this is what's going to happen this weekend. But the NFL, it's an oblong ball that bounces weird. Nothing that we just said is going to happen. Like, this crazy stuff's going to happen. Teams are going to win that we had no idea, and we're going to love every minute of it, right?
That's what makes NFL the NFL, man. It's football.
Can't wait.
That's why we love to watch it, why we love to cover it, why it's just awesome. That's going to be interesting in that. But we'll, of course, keep you guys updated here on Jason Down about the news with Lamar Jackson, of course. But if he is not able to go, it would either be Tyler Huntley or Anthony Brown. So, again,
I've heard good news about Huntley, that he's probably going to go no matter what, is what I've heard. Yeah, so that's kind of good news for them. But again, without Lamar Jackson, I don't give him much of a puncher's chance.
Not at all. So, we've had a couple coaching moves. Of course, we talked about Nathaniel Hackett. He got fired before the end of the season. But as now, Nick, I kept predicting this on this show for a long time. This whole season, I said, you know what? The Cardinals, Cliff Kingsbury, he's going to leave. And
I argued against it. I was like, they shouldn't do that. What are they thinking? You were like, they're going to do it. They're going to do it. You were right, man. What a dumb move, in my opinion. I don't know.
28-37 in one career as head coach of the Cardinals in 4 seasons. Cliff Kingsbury was fired on Monday, and also Lovie Smith, one and done with the Texans as well. But before we get to that, let me talk about here the Cardinals with Cliff Kingsbury, man. Kyler Murray's coming off an ACL injury, man. You fire your head coach, the GM stepped down. I mean, the Cardinals, man, are just a wreck.
I just don't get it. Like, why would they give this guy a huge extension last year and then give him one more year with his star quarterback missing half the year? Like, I don't understand. Talk about dysfunctional franchises. Like, that is now one of the top in the NFL, like up there with like the Texans and the Browns. Like, these are franchises that just can't figure it out, man. It's just like, why would you hit the reset button right now? You're going to have to pay this guy now for the next, 6 years or something, or 5 years, whatever it is they extended him for. And you thought he was the man last year. Like, what changed between now and then? Yeah, they didn't win any football games, but your star wide receiver gets busted for PEDs and misses half the year. And then when he comes back, like, then you lose your star quarterback. Like, how's that the coach's fault? I don't know. It blows my mind. I love it because they're in the NFC West and they're going to keep blowing things up. That's fine, but like, I don't get it.
I mean, yeah, and what's crazy, man, is now you can make the argument, I guess, that Kingsbury did have maybe as far as control, maybe with the locker room or some questionable play calls here and there. I mean, yeah, that's stuff to be concerned about, but as far as just pulling the cord, that's up for debate.
Yeah. They better make a big hire, and it better be the right one. You can't keep doing this, right? I mean, you're going to be paying this guy for the next 5-6 years, and now you're going to bring in another coach. You better get it right because you want to fire that guy too, and then be paying 3 coaches when you got to bring in another one next year. So, and then same with the Texans. I mean, they keep doing these one and done guys. Like, what are they doing over there? I don't understand it.
I don't either, man. I mean, the Texans, ever since, they're in the post-Deshaun Watson saga, we all expected this was going to be rough for them.
For sure.
That's occurred over the past couple years. But, it seemed like, I know they had a bad year, but of course you have to understand, like, they just don't have a talented roster. It's just not where they want to be yet. And I think, Lovey was a guy that, the team, they played for him, and he seemed like he had control, and so, but I don't know, man. I guess Nick Caserio in that front office just felt like it was time to pull the cord on him. So
yeah, I think same thing. I think they're going to try that. They might make a big push for D'Amico Ryans, something like that. Something like, hey, look, we're going to do a full reset. We got a lot of draft capital. Like, come on board. And that's that to me is the huge difference between that Denver gig and a gig like Houston. Is like, they have a lot of draft capital. Denver does not have a lot of draft capital, and they owe their quarterback, who's looked really bad this year, a ton of money. So, like, if you're weighing jobs, to me right now, honestly, like, I think that Houston job looks a lot better than that Denver job does. So, yeah, they had a bad year, but, they got a lot of young guys. You really like having all that draft capital, too, because if you're a defensive guy like D'Amico Ryans, too, you come in and you be like, look, let's do what the 49ers did. Let's build it from the defensive line out. and on defense, and let's really make this thing. Let's get a stud middle linebacker. You know, let's do what needs to be done. Yeah, look, understand this is going to be a 2 or 3 year process that this is going to happen, because that's what the 49ers had to do. They were a garbage franchise when Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch took over. Let's not mince words here. The 49er fans understand what I'm saying, because there were some lean years, and they came in and they did things their way, and 2 years later they were in the Super Bowl. So if you do it right, and you make the right picks and you bring in the right guys, and DeMeco Ryans is the right guy. I think if you do that, I think you can really turn a franchise around. You saw what happened with Saleh with the Jets. Yeah, they didn't make the playoffs, but they got a lot better. You saw what McDaniels did there in Miami. They did make the playoffs. So you got to go after these Kyle Shanahan guys. They know what they're doing.
Yeah, it's like that whole tree of just Kyle Shanahan guys. It's interesting, man. But here's another interesting piece of news, though, that we did find out is Sean McVay, head coach of the Rams, youngest head coach to win a Super Bowl at 36 years old, great offensive mind, genius. He is apparently weighing his decisions about coming back to coaching the Rams. This has been a story that's been manifesting over the last couple of days or so. So what are your thoughts on that, man? Could Sean possibly take some time away from the game?
Yeah, I bet he does too, because they're in rebuild mode now. I mean, that's not a very good franchise you talk about, and they're in rebuild mode because they spent all this money and all this draft capital to bring in all these high-priced guys, and they won their Super Bowl. They did what they wanted to do with all of that. Awesome. Now you got to pay for it. Now, I don't know if he's the type of guy that's going to stick around and go through all that, and that job's not going to look very good either to someone else who wants to come in, because you're like, oh, how much money do we owe to these guys? Oh, okay. And then how many draft picks do we have? Oh, yeah? Oh, we don't have very many? Oh, the Lions have our draft pick? Cool. All right. Yeah, so to me, that I would be surprised if Sean McVay comes back again next year. And I'd be surprised if they got, a young up-and-coming stud, like a DeMeco Ryans or something like that. Because I don't think, he'd want to go within division and do that to Kyle. At the same time, I think that teams are going to look at that and be like, oh, I have a chance to go to a team with a lot of draft picks, or, and the Carolina too. I like where Carolina's at right now. Like they're sitting pretty as well with where they are. Again, not a whole lot of great talent on that squad, but you saw how they finished the season. They made a run, and they haven't given up all their first round draft picks, like a lot of these other franchises have too. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a guy like Jim Harbaugh come out and take one of these jobs. DeMeco Ryans is probably going to get a head coaching job. Like there's going to be a few guys also, I think, that go after, this LA game or gig or this Denver gig, who are guys that may not get a head coaching job otherwise, and they're like, well, all right, I'll go take over this and see if I can actually put something down on film, like build a resume around this. Because I don't know, like you hear Sean Payton's name also, like there's no way Sean Payton's going to Denver. Like there's no way he's going to come out of retirement to do that gig. Like it's not going to happen. But will he take the Houston job? Maybe. Is there another job that might come available, like in New Orleans? Maybe. Like I don't know. It's going to be fun to see what these teams do and who they bring in.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And you mentioned the Panthers. Now I don't like to give too much love to my in-division rivals here, but the Panthers are a team where amidst of everything that was going on there with Baker Mayfield and all that, and everything they were dealing with Matt Rule, Steve Wilkes, he did a great job taking place in an interim role, and of course they're going to interview him. They haven't already for that head coaching job. I'm sure Harbaugh will be a name thrown in there as well. So, and I also heard Frank Reich, they interviewed him recently. So this is a team, they fight, man. It's not super talented like you said, but they're full of guys, they're gritty, they fight.
Yeah.
And so.
And they've got some 49er draft picks that they got for Christian McCaffrey. So they actually didn't give away picks. They have extra picks. So again, that to me, I think is a job where you're going to see a pretty big hire, I think, taken over there in Carolina. Because that's also a division that could easily be won, right? I mean, you're talking about you go get 10 wins, you're going to win the South, right? That's how it looks.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's going to be interesting, man. But, yeah, like I said, playoff weekend, wild card weekend, we're excited for it. It's going to be a lot of good games on, maybe a couple of blowouts, as Nick mentioned. But we'll be looking forward to it anyway because it's playoff football. So, but Nick, thank you for joining us, man. Any last words before we part off here before the playoffs start?
Man, just sit back and enjoy.
As always, as you should, because it's football. It's the NFL.
That's right.
Enjoy it. But yeah, Nick, thanks for coming on the podcast today. As always, we love having you on here, and and good luck to the 49ers. Because like I say, this my team is in the playoffs. I guess I can root for San Francisco. I'm just a fan of how they run things, man. Because they run their team and franchise so well. So I root for them. Good luck to you guys.
Love it, Jaden. Hey, the bandwagon's always open. Everybody hop on. Let's go.
I'm not a band. I can't do that, man.
Well, you can just do it through the postseason. That's all right.
Okay,
We'll allow it.
We'll think about it. All right, Nick. Thank you, man.
See you, Jay.